Hey guys, it's Allison at Get Real REI, and today I'm going to educate you on how to calculate the ARV, or the after repair value of a property. Knowing what a home is worth is the biggest hurdle that most investors face when it comes to pulling the trigger and actually purchasing the property. Knowing what the home is worth is actually vital information in knowing what the property, if you're going to buy that property, you want to know what it's worth. So that's probably one of the biggest things that you need to know. We only can come up with an estimate of what the home is actually worth. So if you're selling the house, it may be for a little bit more, it may be for a little bit less, but we want to try to get as close as we can. So that's why we try to come up with the best estimate as we can and get as close as possible. Now, what you do to come up with your after repair value, or ARV, is you're going to do a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis. When you do a CMA, you want to get all your information on the property. For example, you want to get your beds, your baths, your square foot, the year build, etc. You can also use online services such as Zillow, Trulia, Cyberhomes. These are the three that are most common that you can use that can help you come up with an estimate on your property. Now, what you want to do is you want to come up with 3 sold properties, not active properties. You want to make sure they are sold. And when you come up with the 3 sold properties, you want to make sure that they are within 6 months. You can go out a little bit further if you have to, because I know sometimes you may not be able to get them within 6 months, but try if you can to keep them within 6 months. Also, you want to make sure that your comparable properties are within a mile of your subject property. You can also, like I said, go a little bit further, but you want to try to stay as close as you possibly can. If your subject house is actually in a neighborhood, it would be great if you could find a house within that particular neighborhood, but if you can't, of course, that's fine, but you want to try to get as close as you possibly can. You're going to, of course, find the closer that they are, and whether it's when it's sold and the location, the better estimate that you're going to be able to come up with. Now, we actually went over Trulia, Zillow, and Cyberhomes. We went over all 3 of those websites on our last month's newsletter. You can check that out at getrealrei.com/newsletter. We actually broke down each website. We used the same subject property. We broke it down to see which website gave us the best estimate on the property. So we actually went through all of that, and that way you can take a look at that and see which one you think is the best for you to come up with your subject property. Now again, you want to make sure once you get your 3 sold properties, you want to make sure that you look at their details, the details of the property and the quality. By quality, I mean you want to make sure that if there's been any upgrades to the property, or if say they've completely renovated it, that's not going to do you any good. If your subject property has not been renovated at all, and then your comparable properties have all been renovated, upgrades, anything of that sort, it's not going to really help you out, and it's not going to be a good comparable to use. Now, you also, with homes that have sold, we have a lot of listeners that will call in and they'll ask us, to say, well, why can't we use active on the MLS? The reason you can't use active is those properties have not actually sold yet, so it's really hard. They could have that property listed for $150,000, but it may only be worth $100,000. So it's really hard. You can't use active properties. You want to make sure they are sold properties. Now let's go ahead and do a little bit of math here. And what I've done is given you 3 different numbers here: the square foot and the house price. The price of the house. Excuse me. House 1 is $200,000. You've got house 2 at $185,000. You've got house 3 at $191,000. Now total that together and you're going to get $576,000. Okay, let's go ahead and add the square feet. House 1, we're going to say it's 2,000 square feet. House 2, 1,900 square feet. House 3, 1,825 square feet. So your total is going to be 5,725 in square feet. Now, if you notice on all of these square feet, they're very close in square footage. You want to make sure you try to keep them as close as possible. It's just easy to do when you're coming up with your numbers and taking the deductions for that. It's easier to make sure they're close together. So you're going to, at that point in time, you've got your total sales price, which is $576,000. You want to divide that by your total square feet, which is 5725. Now that's going to equal 100.61 per square feet, okay? Once you do that, your subject property is 2115 square feet. So you're going to times that by 100.61 square feet. So your estimate value of your subject property is going to be $212,790. Of course, this is not an exact science. We can only come up with an estimate. We can't come up with the exact number. Even an appraiser, they're going to come as close as they possibly can, but not an exact number. You need to make sure you look carefully at the houses and their quality, because this makes a big difference. If other homes don't have the same beds and baths, it can definitely make a huge difference in the value of the home, which is the reason that you want to make sure that your homes are similar. It just makes the whole process easier for you when you're actually doing your estimates. Always get a second opinion, of course. I think we say that all the time. And I know I say this too, network with a realtor. Ask them to do a CMA for you. I'm actually a realtor myself. I have done many CMAs for many different clients. They will call me up and say, hey, can you do a CMA for me, just a quick CMA? And I've already done it. I just want to make sure that my estimates are correct. So hopefully you have a realtor that will have no problem doing this for you. Of course, I had no problem doing it for my clients. It doesn't take long for a realtor to do it. We do it all the time, so we can do it very quickly. You can also network with other investors. You can have investors that have been in this a little bit longer, for example, or maybe they've done CMAs a lot longer than you have, and you can invest. You can talk with other investors and ask them and see if your estimate seems reasonable to them, and that way they can tell you if you should go back and change a certain number here or there, or use a different comparable. So this is how you come up with your after repair value of a property. For more real estate investing education, make sure you visit GetRealREI.com. Listen into our weekly podcast on iTunes, and you can join our club for tons of additional information. And you can go to real-estate-investing-club.com. And yes, I know that is a long link, but again, it's real-estate-investing-club.com.